proceeding with the work of counting. May I please request any other person around us, people on the cross, can you please lower your voice as we take the big press briefing before we close our voting station? May I also request people who are on political party stands, as well as people who are on radio booths, if we may please lower our voices so that we're able to know where we are. We're definitely on a heavy countdown. CEO, let's brief.
Good afternoon. Oh, good evening. South Africa is in the last 2 hours of voting in the 2024 national and provincial elections. And although we are nearing the end of the voting period, many South African voters are still casting their ballots in certain parts of the country. We are experiencing a late surge and are processing a large number of voters in certain areas, in particular the metropolitan areas in Gauteng, the Western Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, and the Eastern Cape. In today's earlier briefing, the Commission indicated that it would implement measures to increase the processing of voters in busy areas. We are pleased that our efforts are beginning to yield results, with the length of the queues beginning to reduce. The Commission is also pleased to report that most glitches reported earlier in the day have now been overcome, allowing electoral officials to service voters timeously. Part of the measures that we implemented to deal with the long queues in the metropolitan areas was to call on the counting officers who were due to join later, but we called them earlier to assist with dealing with the queues. The Commission wishes to reiterate that all voters who arrive at the station before 9 will be allowed to vote, even if it takes beyond the closing time to complete the process. So no voter who's at the station will be denied their right to vote. The staff of the Commission will remain at voting stations to ensure that every voter is given their ballot. This provision ensures that every citizen who has made an effort to be at the station is allowed to vote. We urge those who have not voted to use the remaining 2 hours to go and make their mark. Members of the South African Police Service will remain deployed at voting stations as well as through normal patrols to ensure the safety of the voters. The Commission is pleased with the high turnout at many voting stations across the country and wishes to thank voters who have exercised patience in the queues while waiting for an opportunity to vote. Is the police patrols to ensure the safety of voters. Voting has been completed at all correctional facilities across the country. We remain grateful to the Department of Correctional Services for its ongoing assistance in ensuring that inmates exercise their democratic rights. Once the counting processes have been concluded, the Commission will start a process to remove all voting materials, which is ballot boxes, as well as other bulk material, back to the storage facilities. Of course, the process will be handled with utmost care. However, Should members of the public spot electoral material that has been used, they are urged not to touch but to report the matter to the Commission and/or the police. The Department of Home Affairs will remain open until 2100 to assist voters who still want to collect their identity documents. As I indicated, in order to improve the quality of the counting and the completion of the result slips, the Commission has instituted a new category of electoral staff who will support the presiding officer with the counting effort. The recruitment criteria for this staff was slightly different from the rest of the staff, as high levels of numeracy were mandatory. 3 such staff are being appointed for each voting station and each substation where we operate a voting center. And as I indicated, this staff has been called to voting station earlier than anticipated in order to augment the capacity where we are experiencing long queues. The Commission now wishes to share with the public the counting process that will unfold as soon as voting station closes. First and foremost, ballots are counted at the voting station where they are cast. So there is no transportation of cast ballots from one point to the other. Party agents and independent candidates, agents and observers will monitor the entire counting process as well as the results compilation. Sealed ballot boxes will be opened and emptied in front of everybody at the voting station. And each ballot is then unfolded face down and checked for the Electoral Commission's security stamp. Stamped ballots are considered to be valid because you want to protect against a situation where ballots were brought from the exterior without validation by the officials of the Commission. All valid ballot papers are grouped according to their colors, representing the different tiers of the election. The ballots will then be sorted into piles according to votes for each party or candidate. And then they'll be packed into bundles of 100 until a count is confirmed in respect of a party or a candidate. Then result slips are completed by the presiding officer and party agents, as well as party agents for, obviously, party agents representing political parties and agents representing independents will be expected to countersign the result slip to confirm the correctness of the count attributed to their party or to their candidate. The other electoral stakeholders, such as observers, are also allowed to observe the counting process. According to the Electoral Act, the Commission has 7 days within which to announce the results. In the past, we've been able to declare and announce the results well within this period. And even on this occasion, we'll endeavor to achieve the same. We wish to thank the key role players in this election, political parties, independent representatives in the Political Liaison Committee, as well as the ESCOM for keeping the lights on. Wish to thank the media for really taking out the message out there to members of the public. So we continuously engage in the unfolding electoral process and to deal with issues that may still arise from the operations at the 23,000 voting station. The Commission wishes to thank voters who have already responded to the call to vote and appeals to all those remaining to make their way to voting stations before 2100. And for those who are in the queues, we assure them that their turn will come and we will not close the stations before they cast their vote, and thus we call for their patience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simon Mabolo, Chief Electoral Officer of the Electoral Commission. I'm going to open the floor for questions. I've got also the online platform monitored by Piladi. We'll also take questions from there. I'm going to go this way. This first block, second, third. 2 hours to go, ne? So we're not camping here. I'm going to start with you, Busi, this side, and then we go that way.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Busi Chimambe from the SABC. I wanted to find out how prevalent were the difficulties experienced with the voter management devices at the different voting stations. What was the impact of some of those difficulties, and how do you intend to mitigate them?
Sorry, yeah. It's Natasha Puri here again from SABC News. I know the IEC has clarified the issue of, overriding the two transactions, but there's a case here. Somebody just sent something saying that they were approved for a Section 24A vote at another voting or province, but when that person went to that voting station, they were told that they should actually go vote in Johannesburg. So can I just have clarity on that? Have there been any problems in regards to the Section 24A vote? Thanks.
Thank you very much. I also just want to ask if the IEC is aware of cases related to Section 24A farm workers who have not been able to vote because of lack of possibilities to move in between voting stations for reasons that are already stated. We heard about cases in Zanin and grandmothers also in some places that could not migrate to a voting station because of Section 24 misunderstandings and some of the officials not even knowing about Section 24. So there's a lot of issues around Section 24. Just to ask the IEC once more if there's any remedy that is possible for precarious voters of that nature.
Please introduce yourself and the media house. It makes it easier for the panel. Thank you. We come to this block, please. Those who've got microphones, please follow me.
Got the microphone,
I'm avoiding a situation whereby we're all raising hands, others are going to struggle.
I already have the microphone, yes.
Where are you?
Right in front of you.
Okay. All right, let's proceed.
Sibusi Songa Loa from EWN. CEO, I'm sure by now you've done some kind of a preliminary investigation as to why the digital machines or the scanners failed in the manner in which they did. Are you able to tell us what your understanding is that would have caused this? And secondly, we've seen a lot of snaking queues, and that suggests to some people that it could be as a result of a higher voter turnout. But then the cynical view is that it's because of the delays and the technical glitches you have experienced. I know you can't give a definite answer, but are you able to give us an indication in terms of what you are anticipating, given the fact that we're now 2 hours away from closing the stations, in terms of voter turnout, what you anticipate? Thanks.
Okay. May I please request that we, no, don't move that mic, please. Thank you. I want us to start from the front, go that way, so that we just do it rapidly. Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Kate. Rebecca Davis, Daily Maverick. Some voters reported their ballots were placed in 3 separate boxes, and others that all ballots went into 1 box. Does this matter? Secondly, there were reports of some voters' rolls not being in alphabetical order, which seems to have significantly delayed things. Are they supposed to be in alphabetical order? And lastly, at a voting station in Kraaifontein, voters have just been told by the IEC officials that it's not enough to be in the queue at 9 p.m. They have to be on the voting property in order to be eligible to vote from 9 p.m. Can you just clarify that? Thank you.
I'm Itumeleng Mafisa from The Citizen. Firstly, I would like to find out where do we expect, which provinces do we expect to be first in terms of results coming in? When will that be? What time? And perhaps if I could ask, Julius Malema has accused the IEC of deliberate delays and assumptions that elections could take 2 days. Will elections be completed today, or could they go into a second day? Thank you.
No, thank you. Lemtuno from Umkhonto Wesizwe Party. No, earlier on.
Excuse me, please. May I only request journalists, this is a media briefing. All the political parties have got a formal meeting with the Chief Electoral Officer, which is part of the program. May I please request anyone who is not a journalist, please do not ask questions, because this is the fora only for journalists. May I respectfully please request that nobody who is not a journalist does not ask a question. I humbly request. Thank you.
Veronica Mahwadi from Newsroom Africa. I just want to know if the IEC is aware in Thokoza that voters were turned away. They were told that they cannot be able to vote at all. This is at the Thokoza fire station, that voting station. And just a quick one, if the IEC believes that it planned adequately for the high voter turnout, obviously as some people have been in those queues for 7 to 8 hours. Thank you.
In the queues for how many hours? You said a number there? All right, okay. May I please end with you, Ne? Then I'm going to take the second batch so that the team can be able to answer properly. Thank you very much.
My name is Norman Masungwini from City Press. The question maybe is related to my colleague. One of the voting stations in Strobens Valley, we hear that people were turned away even though they were registered there because they were told that the ballot box were full, so they can go to next voting station. How is the IEC planning to resolve that? And maybe second question is relating to the Home Affairs closing hours at 9 while the voting station is also closing at 9. Maybe the distance, and then how is that going to assist those who are collecting their IDs around 9 and be able to make it on time to the voting station? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. May I pause it on that note? Please pause it for me. Let me get the CEO to answer the first batch of questions.
The question about Home Affairs closing at 9, the Commission is unable to speak on behalf of Home Affairs. The issue of how prevalent is the VMD difficulties. It's uneven from municipality to municipality. There's no consistent performance across even a municipality. I think let's not forget that you know, when you use the internet, there are many variables at play that affects the performance of your connectivity. It could be factors related to factors related to the infrastructure. It could be factors related to the software. It could also be factors related to bandwidth and traffic. So there's a whole range of possibilities that may affect the performance of technology such as the VMD. What is the mitigation? Look, the VMD it's an important part of the voting process, but it is not it's not a legal requirement. So the legal requirement at the voting station remains the voter's roll. And all voting stations were provided with a voter's roll. So as soon as we experienced those difficulties, we advised presiding officers to revert to the use of the voter's roll, which is a legal requirement competent for voting. Section 24A must also be understood in the context of the following background. When we had the 2 registration weekends, one in November and the other in February, indications in that campaign were clear that you vote where you are registered. And the message was, go check your registration details because you will be expected to vote where you are registered. Now, the Commission at this stage is unable to gainsay lawful provisions. The Commission just does not have the capacity to gainsay a legally instituted provision for people to vote in the voting districts in which they are registered. Evidently, we are in for a higher turnout than we had in 2019, which is why it is the single most intention of the Commission at this point to ensure that every vote that is on the queue, every voter rather, who's on the queue is given an opportunity to record their political choice. And we are committed to that. We've made adjustments to the process. We've placed additional resources to ensure that everyone does get an opportunity to cast their vote until whenever it takes. The 3 separate boxes, the inconsistency, yes, we've seen that. It has no bearing. All those ballots are competent and will be counted. No, there are no deliberate delays on the part of the Commission. It is not so. We want to assist everybody who's in the queue and take their ballot. We have no plan for a second day of voting. We've never entertained such a plan. So voting will happen until it concludes and until everybody who's on the queue is given an opportunity to vote. the ballot, people being turned away because the ballot boxes are full. It shouldn't be like that. It's something we can follow up. We have sufficient supplies of ballot boxes. We have sufficient supplies of ballot papers, and no one should be turned purely on the basis that the ballot boxes are full. So if you provide the details of the relevant station, then we can follow up. I think I've addressed all the questions. What about the results? Well, we did indicate in the statement that counting will happen at the station where the ballots were cast. It will happen in front of observers and party agents, and a result slip will be generated and countersigned by party agents as well as observers that may be there. From then on, it will be taken to the local office of the IEC in a temper evident bag. And at the local office of the IEC, where the local party structures will be present, it will first be scanned into the results system to create an image of that result. After creating an image, which will then be available for political parties that are here on those screens once that image is created, because it will be linked via a barcode to a particular voting station. After that, then it will be captured. It's a double-blind capture system. And after capturing, then it will be audited. There is a consortium of audit firms led by Grant Thornton who are going to be auditing the results. Each auditor has a unique audit code which they'll input into the system to confirm the correctness of the captured result. Once the captured result has been audited and there are no exceptions related to that result, you'll begin to see the votes reflecting on the leaderboard. When do we expect the first result? It is tough to call given the big turnout that we are dealing with. In elections past, we will get the first result around 1 a.m. On this occasion, it may take slightly longer because firstly, we count in 3 ballots instead of 2, and we count in more ballots in terms of voter turnout. So it's going to be slightly later than normal, than usual rather.
If a question has been asked, please do not repeat it so that we progress. I'm going to start from the middle and then we go to the back. From the middle, then we go to the back.
Can I start asking?
All right.
Thank you. Sidi Madia from Eyewitness News. Just 2 questions really. Brasai, you made a remark about the 7-day window that you have to declare the elections. Are you attempting to conscientize us to something? That's the first question. Secondly, you speak about in your statement about some of the issues and how speedily you've dealt with them. An hour before you had this media briefing, you met with the political parties. They came out quite dissatisfied still about the responses the IEC has been putting to the challenges, saying that they are worried that the measures are simply not sufficient enough to deal with the crowds, because while you're saying every last person in the queue should be given a chance to vote, there's still a question some were raising about how long it takes to replenish ballots in some instances. It's already late in the night. People are worried about security. So I just wanted you to speak to that, where the parties that met with you are not happy still. Thank you.
Sorry.
Excuse me, can we please, may I request, I said let's start in the middle, because if you grab the microphone, it becomes a problem. We won't finish. May we start here and then go that way? Thank you very much. Yeah, proceed.
Salino Makwidiri from Salam Media. Just two quick questions. We saw a lot of videos on social media that might want to, put into question the legitimacy of the elections. Just how prepared was the IEC when it comes to, mitigating, fake videos that are going viral on social media? And then secondly, considering all of the delays, that have been, put forward by, all of the parties present, under which circumstances would the IEC consider extending the day of the elections?
Hi, William Vogo, Newsroom Africa. If the problems that come with the internet are acknowledged as the Chief Electoral Officer just did, the delays, the mishaps, and all those things. Now, given our stage or level of internet penetration, the ability or inability of certain people to use the technology the way they are supposed to, and other associated problems like we heard of stories of people who have had to leave Gauteng and go to your Limpopos and the Eastern Cape, only to be told when they get there that they cannot be serviced. Don't you think that you're going to disenfranchise a lot of people and thus opening up the outcome for legal challenges? And then my second question goes back to whether, which my colleague earlier asked, whether you feel still that you planned adequately for a high turnout.
Veronica Makhwadi again from Newsroom Africa. I just want to go back to the Thokoza fire station. We're getting reports now that voters have forced their way through the doors. Are you aware of that? Just please, any update in regards to the tensions there? Thank you.
Yes, hello, Celine Clary from AFP. You talk about a higher turnout than 2019. Do we have an estimate number of the turnout up to now?
Stem Blembete with the SABC. We've seen at a lot of campuses in Johannesburg, in Gauteng, at Wits University. I've gotten some messages from the University of Pretoria and from TUT, where students have been in queues for about 8 hours today, and doesn't seem like the queues are moving. Have you gotten any official news about what's happening there and what measures are being put in place for students at the main universities, in Gauteng in particular? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mawande. I work for the Sunday World. But I probably to go back to Section 24A issue, but I asked from a different perspective. We've been getting a lot of complaints about civil servants, for instance, like police officers, soldiers, who would have been deployed, relates to free and fair elections, as well as the right to vote of those particular civil servants. And number two, the DCUO earlier on spoke about the result slip that a copy as well is left either at the wall or at the door of the voting station. My question to that is, how long does it stay there for the public? That's what he said, for the public. If they want to satisfy themselves, they can go and observe. For instance, if I want to go where I vote at Northcliffe Primary, and I'm here, let's say I'm living here at 1 o'clock, can I find it still there at the door or at the wall of my voting station? Lastly, as an interesting point, the pattern of the packing order of the ballot papers, what is the formula or methodology that was used? I asked this on the basis of the national, I particularly pick up national Mpumalanga and KwaZulu-Natal, where the MK party and the ANC are on the same line. And I ask it because of the politics that are on the ground as it relates to the competition between those two political parties. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. May I please pause? I'm going to take the last question, question from you. When I come back, Pelad, you've got questions from the platform? Please proceed.
Thank you, Kokeli Bandla from SABC Radio. I would like to check how would the IEC respond to registered voters that hold a view that their right to vote was compromised by Section 24A. And secondly, I have a direct message from a registered voter who tells me that they are very disappointed by the IEC because they applied online for a special vote. He received an SMS and was approved, but when he went to his VD, his name did not reflect from the voters roll. This is from Kariga Nelson Mandela Bay. The VD is Ntlemeza School at Anta Street, and the registered voter was not able to vote because his name did not reflect on the voters roll. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Let me pause on that note. We have covered all the hands here. CO, when we come back, we take online questions, then we'll be closing. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Kate. In terms of the period for the declaration of results, Pete, just give me water. It's fine. So in terms of the period, the 7-day when I was growing up, if you have this type of thing, they say you probably are not telling the truth. So the 7-day period, look, the Commission is careful not to take long to get to a point where they declare results. It is not the intention of the Commission to take the whole 7 days and have the country in suspense for that period. At a reasonable opportunity, the Commission will announce the outcome of the elections, balancing two imperatives. The one imperative is accuracy, because we've got to be accurate in the recording of the election result on the one hand. The second imperative is speed, because for as long as you don't announce the results, the country is in a politically tenuous situation. The markets react to that and so on. So it is not the intention of the Commission, therefore, to have a prolonged period without declaring the results. So that's what we really wish to indicate on that question. Look, the political parties have an opportunity to engage with the Commission through the Party Liaison Committee. And I think that is the structured mechanism of interface between the Commission and political parties. They should not be lobbying the media to engage the Commission. There's a structured mechanism for parties to be engaging, and I think we should keep it that way. Social media preparedness. No, we've been quite prepared. We've put a lot of resources into managing the social media space, starting with the partnership that we had with the social media platforms themselves, and our own internal capacity to monitor social media and then to respond. What is clear, though, is that the quantum of posts outpaced our reaction time. You know, you'll deal with something on Facebook and with something on X, and then it reappears somewhere on WhatsApp, and you only dealt with it on the other two, and so on. And one post, especially if it's of a negative nature, will be reposted several times and so on, despite explanations that are given. So we remain challenged by that phenomenon. What will it take to consider extending voting days? It's a very complicated consideration, because if you extend, what do you do with the ballots that are cast? And there are millions of them at this point. Where do you take them whilst you wait for the extended day? So you might be unwittingly be introducing dynamics that you are unable to handle. You might be introducing risk in an unintended fashion. Hence, the preference of the Commission is give everybody an opportunity to cast their ballots until voting is completed, whenever that is. No, it is not correct that the VMD disenfranchised people, precisely because where the VMD did not operate optimally, you could always use the physical copy of the voter's roll. It is not as if, for want of good efficiency of the VMD, persons could not vote. People could vote, and people voted using the physical copy of the voter's roll, which is a legislated requirement at the voting station. The estimate of high turnout it's difficult to call until you complete the counting process. Suffice to say, it will probably be well beyond what we had, the 66% we had in 2019. Campuses, yes, we are aware of the difficulties that we experience at campuses. There's a huge turnout there, and you know, it is not as if people are not being processed. They are being processed, but as much as you deal with a group, an equivalent number, if not more, join the queue. We don't lament that. It's a good problem to have. Hence our commitment to service them all. Even at many of the voting stations in Gauteng, KZN, and Eastern Cape and the Western Cape, as soon as you deal with numbers, a equivalent number, if not more, joins the queue, and they need to be serviced, and we want to service them. How long does the result slip stay? There's not a prescribed period. The idea really is to give people at that voting station a glimpse of what the outcome is at that voting station. Some stay there a week, others within a few hours they're taken off by the landlords and so on. But it's not a prescribed, there's no prescribed period. The sequencing of the screen follows the sequence on the ballot paper. So what you have on the left-hand side of that middle leaderboard is precisely the sequence of the ballot, and what you have on the right is precisely what you have on the ballot paper. I suppose it's a matter of curiosity, but it's not designed. It's purely on the basis of the sequence of the ballot paper. Section 24A, it's a legislated provision which has not been challenged. It was promulgated by Parliament to introduce a control in the voting process. So it's a lawful provision. It's part of our electoral prescripts, and as I indicated yesterday, it's not a gratuitous interference with the freedoms of people. It is important to protect the integrity of the election, because in 2019, people made claims that using this facility, they voted at one point and also went to go vote elsewhere. And that nearly imperiled the credibility of that election. Our country cannot afford a prospect of that sort. Now, the issue that my sister raises about Thokoza fire station, at the point when we came here, that matter had not come to our attention. It may have arisen since the media briefing started, but our colleagues over the cross there, they look at issues like that and resolve. I've dealt with all the questions. Thank you.
As we wrap up, I'm going to the extreme right. Piladi, can we start with you with online questions, and then we move like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I've got a couple of questions from our online colleagues. The first one is Nobuhle Similani from BBC. Voters at Waterfall Johannesburg voting stations have said they have been waiting for 7 hours to vote. Do we know what is behind the long waiting times in that area? And then question number 2 is Bongam Tembu from Luxion FM. We are still at the ground at our area of broadcast, Katlehong, Palm Reach and local areas, but we have seen police packing up while the masses are still coming in numbers. This is Ward 101 in Ekurhuleni, and also I haven't seen medical personnel around voting stations. Question number 3, Ndivuo Mulawuzi from Future Stars Media. We've just left the Soshanguve polling station in Jukulane, namely Kondelelani Secondary School. There is a power outage. The whole voting station is in dark, forcing voters to use their phone flashlights to cast their ballots. With questionable security of those votes along voters, the queue is still long. Our observation noted only one police officer present. Despite Jukulane's high crime rates, raising concerns about the inadequate security measures. Additionally, ANC members were seen at the gate in party regalia, singing party chants, which is against election protocol. Given these issues, how can the IEC ensure the security of the ballot boxes and the overall integrity of the elections? And then our last question is Disetso Manuko from Food from Zanzibar.
Peladi, just take your mic a little bit up.
Okay.
Yes, please.
The last one is from Disetso Manuko from Food from Zanzibar. My question relates to other stations getting 3 ballots and having to deposit in 3 boxes while others had an envelope. What is the criteria of different patterns of voting? Thank you.
Thank you very much. May I please, I need help. Can I please, Grenville, there's a lot of competition at the back. So can please, people at the cross, we need to finish this business. Can they please take it down? I'll appreciate. Where? Yeah, there's a bit of groupie there. Okay, let me take the last 3 questions that I've pointed out. Yes, starting with, start with the gentleman here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sis Kate. Kaya Koko from Mail and Guardian. I just want clarity regarding the number of ballot boxes per VD. Is it supposed to be 3 or other VDs can have 1? I ask this because there's a voting station in Alex where all the ballot papers are being put in 1 box, not in 3 separate as in other VDs. So is that allowed? If so, why? And then the second and last question would be, with the snaking lines right now, what would the IEC put the, anecdotally speaking, high turnout so far in any election? Is it down to the political parties or a mobilization by the commission itself? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Nafisa Dango. I'm supporting Salam Media. We've been having an issue where we've been getting phone calls from Ward 58. We have been at the polling stations there. There's a serious issue. People have been waiting for over hours. There's not enough resources to be able to deal with the voters. And the concern that was coming from the councillor was that many voters are going away and we tend to be losing out on votes. So how are we going to solve this problem? Are we going to add additional resources in order to assist to be able to get that line going?
Okay, I'm taking the last 2, then I'll be done. Thank you very much. We have to close. Our officials need assistance on the ground. Last 2, please. That and that one, yeah.
This one. Good evening. Francis Luaramachate, Progressive Independent News Agency. Mine is going to be short. There are allegations of a house that is owned by a political party member or leader in Mamelodi and Mafias that has been used as a voting station. Can you confirm if there's such and how true is that? Thank you so much.
Last one, thank you.
Thank you, Abu Mdila from ENCA. Mine was that very question, just on the awareness of the IEC on that, and is that protocol that a government official's house can be used as a voting station? Also, just on one of the voting stations where it closed at 2 o'clock and community members were told that voting there is done, everyone has voted, and the IEC packed up. Is that...
Can you confirm the area, please?
It was raised by one of the political parties we were speaking to. I'll confirm in a moment.
Okay. We need details. Thank you very much, CEO. Let's wrap up.
Now we need to finish roll counter. We can't be here in perpetuity. The situation in Waterfall was resolved a little while ago from the reports that we received. So it's now seemed to be operating much quicker than was the case before. You know, as we are here, I saw the Deputy National Police Commissioner who assured us that police can't withdraw from the voting station until the last voter has voted and they then need to escort the presiding officer and or area manager back to the local storage sites. So if there are police withdrawing in, as you say, then it's an aberration. It is not the plan. The plan is that police stay at the station until everybody is served and until the counting process is concluded. The power outage in Juki Lane is a matter that has not come to our attention. It may have just arisen, of course, but all we can indicate that the Commission has in its possession no less than 34,000 lights, because we anticipated that there may be situations such as those. And we should be in a position to provide those lights to all areas in Juku Lane. The envelopes vis-a-vis ballot boxes. Envelopes are used on special voting days outside the country, as well as special voting days inside the country. On election days such as today, there is no requirement to place cast ballots in envelopes. So you just need to use the ballot. You need to deposit your cast ballots into the ballot boxes. The number of ballot boxes. We do have a voting station layout which depicts the flow of voters in a voting station, in terms of which 3 ballot boxes are recommended. And they're recommended to assist with the sorting of ballots, because if you use 3, they are already sorted, whereas when you use 1, they are all mixed up. So you must first take the national ones, take the regional ones, and take the provincial ones. So using 3 ballot boxes facilitates the sorting in that manner. If a presiding officer has not used 3 ballots, of course, it doesn't mean that those ballots are lawfully cast. It does mean that it will take longer to sort them out. Is turnout a result of the work of the Commission or of political parties? I think it's a confluence of 2. The Commission has done its job insofar as popularizing these elections and giving voter education, giving education on the 3 ballots, and so on. So the Commission has played its role. But political parties have also worked very hard during the campaign period. They worked very hard to mobilize their supporters, to mobilize all South Africans, as it were, for participation, which is why we have this great turnout. The house of a political leader as a voting station. Look, let me give you the applicable framework. About 12 months before an election, there is a process where voting districts as well as voting stations in those voting districts are presented before the Municipal Political Liaison Committee. And each party makes suggestions as to the boundaries of the voting district as well as the choice of voting station in that voting district. So in that context, political parties should have raised an objection to this scenario. Because firstly, you need a centrally based station so that every body from all corners of the boundaries of that voting station has almost an equidistant, is almost equidistant in terms of their travel to the voting station. That's one. It has to be a facility that is free of political connotations, such as a house belonging to a leader of a political party. So one can look at that, but that is the framework that applies. Yes, sir.
Just on the voting stations that close at 2 o'clock, the one is Kwanonzondolelo Ward 2. Kwanonzondolelo Ward 2 in the Western Cape, where community members were told that the residents had voted and they were done. The other is in Saldanha Bay in George Gert Hall, where the voting station was closed and we're told that voting was, they were counting after 2 o'clock.
Today or yesterday?
Today, yeah.
It's strange, you know. We don't have that information, but we can go look at those details. It sounds, it's a very strange occurrence. Okay. Natasha Piri, what do you want to say?
I just wanted to add, but okay, you've partially covered me. I just wanted to make you aware.
But talk to the mic.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to make you aware of the issue that's happening, what's happening right now in Kwakwa with some of the power cuts, same complaints, and now people are said to be using their phones to actually go vote. Some have even turned away. There are also places like, can I just quickly read this? In KZN, Ugu, Umzumbe, Ward 8, all the VDs, they also have the same problem of power outages and load shedding, and this despite the fact that the IEC had promised that there's going to be no load shedding today.
No, the IEC is not a provider of energy. That is ESCOM. What the IEC communicated to you was the assurances that we had received from ESCOM. Whether it is a case of load shedding or some other kind of outage, we're not sure. We'll go look, because obviously we don't want voting and counting to be happening in the dark. Those circumstances are less than ideal. We want everything under the lights, so that there are no allegations of things untoward happening during the cover of darkness. So thank you very much for your audience.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. You've got our platforms available. We'll engage on those. Thank you. Ra leboga.